Welcome to Design of Machine Element 2. This is Sudhir from my Department of Mechanical Engineering, HIIT Mangalore. Today I am going to start with the last module, that is module 5. It's about lubrication, bearing and anti-friction bearing. It means that we have to design again one more type of mechanical element or machine element, something but bearing. So before that we need to know the important characteristics of the uh, different types of bearing along with the lubrication. Why lubrication is required and what are the different classification of lubrication. So this module is consists of two important parts. One is about sliding contact bearing along with the all lubrication concept, and the second part is anti-friction bearing, or we call it as rolling bearing. So these are the two important parts. So coming to the first part, that is about lubrication and sliding contact bearing. So in that we need to study about lubricant. Lubricant means what is the purpose of lubricant, and what is lubricant, and what are the different classification of lubricant along with this property, and we should know about bearing materials, which are the important bearing materials along with its properties. Then mechanism of lubrication, which are the different types of lubrication, theory of lubrication we need to study. Then one more important lubrication, that is hydrodynamic lubrication. So that we discuss in detail. It's one of the important uh, working principle behind bearing. Then pressure development in the oil film, because we are using here oil film between the fixed and moving element. So there should be always pressure induced, pressure develop, that we have to study. Then bearing modulus, coefficient of friction, minimum oil film thickness, heat generated and heat dissipated. So this is one of the important design criteria, whether artificial cooling is required or not. If heat dissipation is more than heat generated, then there is no need of any artificial cooling. Then coming to the important topic, that is problem. We have to solve some of the important problems on design of sliding contact bearing, such as hydrodynamic general bearing, that is full general bearing, 180-degree general bearing, so on. Then thrust bearing we have to design. So this is about first important part. Then coming to the second part, that is about anti-friction bearing or rolling contact bearing. So here there are two important types of problems, that is ball bearing and roller bearing. So we need to study before that what are the types of contact bearing and their application, where we have to use different types of bearing, and we have to study some of the important concepts with respect to ball bearing and roller bearing, that is static and dynamic load carrying capacity, then equivalent of bearing load life relationship, then one of the important criteria or design, that is selection of particular bearing for particular application, that is from manufacturer's catalog. Then after that we need to study about selection of bearing when it is subjected to fatigue load or cyclic load, as well as different speed. Then finally we have to study about probability of survival. So these are the important topic we need to cover. Now coming to the first part, that is lubrication and bearing, we need to know about some of the important concept with respect to lubrication and bearing. So before that we'll start with the bearing. So what is bearing? So bearing is nothing but one of the machine elements which are used to support a rotating member, so usually called as shaft, because this bearing will always support rotating member. So for that purpose we are going to use this type of there are different types of bearing, so it can be used for supporting a rotating member. So that's why bearing is nothing but machine element which supports another transmit load from a rotating member to stationary member known as frame or housing. So they permit relative motion of two members in one or two direction with the minimum friction, and also prevent motion in direction of applied load. So that is one of the important characteristics of bearing. It permits a relative motion between the contact surface of the member while carrying the load. So there will be always a relative motion between the surface. Then what will happen? So there will be a certain amount of power is wasted in overcoming the frictional resistance. So that is between the rubbing surface when surfaces are in contact. So there will be a wear and friction. Because of this, the power will be wasted. So for that purpose, we have to provide this element, so nothing but a bearing. So now how the bearing will works? So bearing will works based on proper lubrication, because whatever the heat or friction, so that we have to carry, because wear and in some cases heat also generated, that we have to carry with the help of layer of fluid, that is we call it as lubricant, that we have to provide. Whatever the lubricant used, that will usually separate journal or shaft and bearing surface. So small layer of lubricant we have to provide for effective working of any machine. So that is the one of the important uh, member, or we call it as one of the important machine element. So the bearings are classified broadly into two categories based on contact they have between the rotating and stationary member. So based on this, we have first one, sliding contact bearing. So usually we call one of the important classification, because there is only two important classification. Then again, based on this, we have several sub classification of the bearing. The first one is based on contact. One is sliding contact bearing. So sliding contact bearing, when the sliding takes place along the surface of the contact between the moving element and fixed element. So there will be a moving element as well as a fixed element, and when there will be a sliding action. Sliding action means there will be a translatory motion. So in such cases, whatever the working of bearing, we call it as sliding contact bearing. Similarly, we have another type of bearing, that is also called as rolling contact bearing. So second part, again we need to study about the rolling contact bearing or anti-friction bearing. Now you can see here, this is the sliding contact bearing. Here this one, whatever the journal, so this is always moving surface or shaft, and this one, whatever the pink color, so that is nothing but fixed element, and whatever the action inside, so that will be the sliding action. And for second type of bearing, that is rolling contact bearing, here what will happen, the between these two fixed element and moving element, so there will be some more element. So that element either may be ball or either may be rollers. Balls or rollers can be placed, so that you'll get rolling action. So that's why this type of bearing we call it as rolling contact bearing. This ball or rollers that impose always rolling friction instead of sliding friction. So this ball or rollers always impose sliding friction at 2 points for each ball or roller. So that is the main characteristics of rolling contact bearing. So again, under this one we have different classification, so that we'll discuss later in the second part. We'll see some of the advantage of sliding contact bearing over rolling contact bearing. So these are the some of the advantage. I'll read quickly. The first advantage is the design of the bearing and housing, that is simple as compared with the rolling contact bearing. The second one, they occupy less radial space, and that's why it is more compact in nature. It's nothing but sliding contact bearing. The cost is cost is less as they operate more silently compared with the rolling bearing. They have good shock load capacity. And seventh one, they are ideally suited for medium and high speed operation. So these are the some of the advantage of sliding contact bearing. Similarly, it has certain disadvantage as compared with the rolling contact bearing. The first disadvantage is the frictional power loss is more because of sliding contact. And second one, they require good attention to lubrication. So lubricant is a must for this type of bearing, because there is no any rolling agent, that is such as ball or roller, so that is not there. So that's why good attention is required for lubrication. Then coming to the last disadvantage, that is they are normally designed to carry a radial load or axial load only. So these are made for only to carry one load at a time. So that is radial only or axial only. But some of the rolling contact bearing, so that can carry both load, like axial as well as radial load. So these are the some of the disadvantage of sliding contact bearing. Now coming to the important classification of sliding contact bearing. So there will be three important parameters. So you can classify sliding contact bearing based on these three important parameters. The first one is based on type of load to be carried. So which are the type of load, whether it is axial load or whether it is radial load, based on type of load to be carried. So based on this, we can classify sliding contact bearing. So we'll see what are the classification based on type of load carried. Similarly, based on type of lubrication, so there will be different types of lubrication we will come to know. So again, we can classify sliding contact bearing based on types of lubrication. Similarly, we can classify based on lubrication mechanism. So there will be certain lubrication mechanism. So we'll see in detail with respect to this. So we'll see what are the classification based on these three one by one. So based on type of load carried, so whatever the bearing, sliding contact bearings, this can be classified into again three types. The first one is radial load. So radial load is nothing but radial load which acts towards the radius, and this type of bearing we call it as radial bearing. And another type of bearing, that is thrust bearing, or we call it as axial bearing. And the third one is radial and thrust bearing. So it carries both load, radial as well as thrust. So that's why it is called radial thrust bearing. So these are the classification based on type of load. So radial bearing we also called as journal bearing. So in journal bearing, again we have different types based on angle of contact. When the angle of contact of the bearing with the journal is 360 degree, so then we call it as full journal bearing. If the angle of contact is journal bearing with the journal is 120 degree, then we call it as partial journal bearing or 120 degree journal bearing. So thrust bearing we also call it as axial bearing, because it will carry axial load. And coming to the last one, radial or thrust bearing, so it will carry both loads, thrust as well as radial load. So that's why it's also called radial thrust bearing. So this is radial bearing. You can see here, this is the moving element, and the load is acting perpendicular to the direction of motion of the moving element. So generally it's always a moving element, and bearing is always stationary or fixed element. You can see here, this is one more beam. So whatever the load that is acting perpendicular to the direction of the motion of the moving element. So this is the moving element. Nothing but journal, or we call it as shaft, and this one is called moving element. So this is about radial bearing. Now coming to the thrust bearing. So thrust bearing is nothing but is subjected to axial load. So load act along the axis of rotation. So here load is act along the axis of the rotation. It means that whatever the load is parallel to the axis of rotation. So such type of bearing we call it as axial bearing or thrust bearing. So you can see these are the fixed element, and this one is rotating element. And coming to the one more type of bearing, that is radial thrust bearing. So in radial thrust bearing, so it carries both load, whatever the load that acts in both this bearing carry both load, radial as well as thrust load. So that is about radial thrust bearing. As I mentioned already, in radial load again there will be a different classification, mainly full journal bearing. So when the angle of contact is 360 degree, so then we call it as full journal bearing. When the angle of contact of the bearing with the journal is 120 degree, then we call it as partial bearing. Similarly, one more type is that is fitted journal bearing. Now coming to the thrust bearing, again you have important classification based on thrust bearing. So thrust bearing is used to guide or support the shaft which is subjected to load along the axis of the shaft. Such type of bearing are mainly used in turbines and propeller shaft. So this bearing of again two types. One is called footstep or pivot bearings. Second one is called collar bearing. So these are the two important classification of thrust bearing. So we'll see in detail. So this is footstep bearing. It's also called pivot bearing. So what will happen here? The loaded shaft is vertical, and end of the shaft that rest within the bearing. So that's why it is called pivot bearing. But in case of collar bearing, the shaft continues through the bearing. So the shaft may be vertical or horizontal with the single collar or many collars. You can see these are nothing but collars. So whatever the radius is given here, so this is outside radius of the collar, that is capital letter R, and small letter r is nothing but inside radius of the collar. So it is having more collar, and this is the supply for oil. So that is passage, you can see it. So this is about footstep bearing and collar bearing. So we have some of the important problems on collar bearing as well as footstep or pivot bearing. Now again one more classification, that is based on lubrication. So here again we have three important types of classification of sliding contact bearing, that is thick film lubrication, thin film lubrication, and boundary lubrication. So these classification means the extent to which the contacting surface are separated in a shaft bearing combination. It means that whatever the contacting surface that are separated in a shaft bearing combination, because there will be always lubrication present between the shaft and bearing. So based on whatever the thickness and how the contacting surface takes place, based on this we can classify into three types of bearing. That is, one is called thick film lubrication bearing, second one is thin film lubrication bearing, and third one is boundary lubrication bearing. So we'll see one by one what you mean by thick film lubrication, what you mean by thin film lubrication, and what you mean by boundary lubrication. So you can see here image, this is nothing but the figure A indicates thick film lubrication, figure B thin film lubrication, and figure C boundary lubrication. So these are the contact between the two surface. The figure A indicates nothing but thick film lubrication. What will happen in the thick film lubrication? The surface are separated by thick film of lubricant. So here there will be a lubricant is present between the journal surface and bearing surface, and there will not be any metal to metal contact. So there will be always film, thick film is present between two surfaces. So there should not be any metal to metal contact. Such lubrication we call it as thick film lubrication, and whatever the bearing which works on this principle we call it as thick film lubrication bearing, or it's one of the sliding contact bearing. Usually the film thickness is around 8 to 20 micrometer, and whatever the coefficient of values for friction are usually 0.02 to 0.010. So these are the coefficient of typical value of coefficient of friction. And whatever the lubrication mechanism, so which falls under this type of lubrication is hydrodynamic lubrication. The mechanism of lubrication is hydrodynamic lubrication. So this will coming under this category. So whatever the wear, so that is minimum in this case, because there is no any metal to metal contact. Now coming to the thick film lubrication, you can see what are the difference here only. So thick film lubrication means there will be a even though the surface are separated by thin film lubricant. So whatever the lubricant film, so that will be very thin, and at some high spot there will be a metal to metal contact. You can see here one place there will be a metal to metal contact. So this place, so because of this intermittent contacts, it's also known as mixed film lubrication. It's also we call it as mixed film lubrication. And whatever the surface of surface wear is mild here, but absolutely there will be a minimum wear in this case, but there will be a mild wear, and coefficient of friction commonly ranges from slight more than the previous lubrication, because there will be some spot there will be metal to metal contact. So that's why usually the range of coefficient of friction is 0.04 to 0.1. Now coming to the last lubrication, that is boundary lubrication. Here the surface contact is continuous and extensive. You can see here in many places there will be a metal to metal contact. The lubricant is continuously smeared over the surface to provide a continuous renewed absorbed surface film, so which reduces the friction and wear. So usually the whatever the coefficient of friction is more, that is 0.05 to 0.20. So this is about classification of sliding contact bearing based on types of lubrication. Now coming to the one more classification, that is based on lubrication mechanism. So based on lubrication mechanism, we have 5 types of sliding contact bearing. The first one is hydrodynamic lubricated bearing. Second one is hydrostatic lubricated bearing. Third one is elasto hydrodynamic lubricated bearing. Then boundary lubricated bearing and solid lubricated bearing. So in our syllabus, this is one of the important lubrication mechanism, that is hydrodynamic lubricated bearing. So what do you mean by hydrodynamic lubricated bearings? Again we have to study only this type, so I will explain now briefly. So in this bearing, in this type of bearing, the load carrying surface that are separated by a stable thick film of lubricant, what we discussed in the last slide. So that is nothing but thick lubrication, thick film lubrication, so that prevents metal to metal contact. So whatever the working principle behind, so that is very simple. Hydro means whatever the lubricant, and dynamics means whatever the movement. So there will be movement of the as well as whatever the film, so that is of thick film, and that prevents metal to metal contact. So now how it works, so that will see later, the film pressure is generated by moving surface that the force the lubricant through a wedge shape zone, because there will be a converging zone that will convergent film will generate. So if a convergent film generate means whatever the pressure generated, that will be more, and that carries more amount of load, because whatever the lubricant, so that plays very important role. uh, while with the higher viscosity having more advantage here. So at sufficient high speed, the pressure developed around the journal sustain the load. So after continuous movement of the journal, and small there will be a thick film lubricant. So because of this, uh, the pressure will be developed around the journal, and this pressure will be responsible for sustaining the load. So that is one of the important theory behind hydrodynamic lubricated bearing. So that again we'll study in detail. The second one is hydrostatic lubricate bearing. So in this bearing, the externally pressurized lubricant is we have to feed into the bearing to separate the surface with the thick film of lubricant. So that is called hydrostatic bearing. So that is the main difference between hydrodynamic and hydrostatic. So externally pressurized with the help of a certain pump, we have to supply the lubricant. So that is only you can see in hydrostatic lubricated bearing. So these type of bearing do not require the motion of the surface to generate the lubricant film. So there should not be any kind of motion of the surface to generate the lubricant film. So hence they can operate from very low speed to high speed application. So that's why whatever the advantage of this type of bearing is only limited. So that is can use for only low to high speed application. Now coming to the one more type of bearing, that is elasto hydrodynamic lubricated bearing. So rolling contact bearing come under this category. The oil film thickness is very small, and the contact pressure are going to be very high in this bearing. To prevent metal to metal contact, surface finish to be of high quality. So such type of lubrication can be seen in gears or rolling contact bearing or in cams. So there is nothing but elasto hydrodynamic lubricated bearing. Now coming to the one more type of bearing, that is boundary lubricated bearing. When the speed of the bearing is inadequate, less quantity of lubricant is delivered to the bearing, an increase in bearing load or an increase in the lubricant temperature, so result in a drop in viscosity. So any one of these may prevent the formation of thick film lubrication. So there will be a continuous metal to metal contact. We already discussed this one, boundary lubricated lubrication bearing. So this is about boundary lubricated bearing. Now coming to the one more type, that is solid film lubricated bearing. So for extreme temperature operation, so ordinary mineral oils, that is nothing but one of the lubricants are not satisfactory. Then solid film lubricant we have to use, such as graphite or molybdenum disulfide. These are the some of the solid fuel in order to withstand high operating temperature. So such type of if you use such solid film in the bearing, then we call it as solid film lubricated bearing. Now coming to the one more part, that is with respect to lubrication. And before that we have to know about different types of lubricant. So lubricant are used in bearing to reduce friction between rubbing surface and to carry away the heat generated by the friction. So that is the one of the principle of lubrication. So you have to use lubricant in order to carry away the heat generated by the friction. So there are three different types of lubricant that are classified into three groups. First one is called liquid lubricant. Second one we call it as semi-liquid, and third one we call it as solid. You know what are the liquid means? Liquid means whatever the lubricant in the liquid form. Usually we can give some of the mineral oils, and the semi-liquid is nothing but grease. So grease is nothing but semi-liquid, and solid lubricant is nothing but graphite or molybdenum disulfide. So these are solid lubricant. So viscosity of these may varies, because grease is a semi-liquid lubricant having higher viscosity than oils, because oils will comes under liquid lubricant. Its viscosity is lesser, and grease having more viscosity. So this is about and graphite is most common used solid lubricant along with the grease or oil. So this is one of the important type of solid lubricant. Now coming to the properties of lubricant. So we have first property as viscosity, because viscosity plays a very important role in design of journal bearing. So it is a measure of degree of fluidity of a liquid, means resistance offered by the fluid to flow is nothing but viscosity. So there will be different types of viscosity, and you may studied Newton's law of viscosity. Similarly, Newtonian fluid, characteristics of Newtonian fluid. So I am not going to explain in detail. So now second property is oiliness. So oiliness is nothing but one of the property of lubricant. It is a measure of lubricating qualities under boundary conditions, where the base metal to metal is prevented only by absorbed film. It is nothing but oiliness. And third property is density. So density is nothing but mass by volume. So this is very much essential, because there will be two important viscosity. One is absolute viscosity and kinematic viscosity. To convert kinematic viscosity into absolute viscosity, so density is essential, because you know absolute viscosity is always kinematic viscosity into density of the fluid film. So this is about third important property of lubricant. The next one is viscosity index. So viscosity index is nothing but it is one of the index used to denote the degree of variation of viscosity with the temperature. And next property is flash point. So it is the lowest temperature at which an oil gives off sufficient vapor to support momentary flash without actually setting fire to the oil. So when usually the flame brought within 6 millimeter at the surface of the oil, so that is called flash point. Already we conducted a test, you know how to conduct the flash point of a flash point test in order to find out the flash point of different oils, to find out its one of the property. Next fire point. It is the temperature at which oil gives off sufficient vapor to burn it continuously when ignited. So that also you have carried certain experiment to find out this property. Now seventh one, so pour point or freezing point is nothing but temperature at which oil will cease to flow when it is cooled. It's nothing but freezing point. Now coming to the some of the important property of a good lubricant. So lubricant should have, first one, should give rise to low friction, should have a low coefficient of friction. Second one, it should have adhere to the surface and reduced wear. The wear should be minimum such lubricant we have to use in the design of in the system. Next, the third one, we should protect the system from corrosion. Because of lubricant should not corrosion should not happen. So as much as possible, lubricant should be free from corrosion. It should protect the system from corrosion. Now fourth one, we should have good cleaning effect on the surface, because some of the particles, so it should carry away from the system, so that surface should be always clean. Next, it should carry away as much as possible heat from the surface. So that is one of the important properties of good lubricant. So otherwise, because lot of heat will be generated, so the main aim of the any lubrication is to carry away the heat that is produced because of friction. Next one, it should have high thermal and oxidative stability. Seventh one, it should have good thermal durability. Eighth one, it should have anti-foaming ability. So anti-foaming ability also should have. So these are the some of the properties of lubricant. And one more thing, it should be compatible with the seal material. So there will be a conformability between the material, and it should be cheap and available in plenty. So that is also one of the important property of lubricant. Now coming to the bearing materials, which are the materials we have to use, and what is property of particular materials. The bearing material which is used for bearing should possess certain properties. First property, when metal to metal contact occurs, the bearing material should not damage the surface of the journal. It should not stick or weld to the journal surface, because usually this phenomena may arise. So that can be avoided if you use proper material with this property, because we have to avoid as much as possible, because it should not damage the surface of journal. Such bearing material we have to select. The second one is it should have a high compressive strength to withstand high pressure without any permanent deformation of the bearing or any distortion. So that is about the compressive strength should be high to withstand high pressures. So that is about second important properties. And third one is about fatigue strength, or we call it as endurance strength. The bearing material should have sufficient fatigue strength so that it can withstand repeated loads without developing any surface crack, or we call it as pitting. So one of the surface failure, surface wear phenomenon. So it should not happen. Therefore, the fatigue strength for that particular material should be very high. And one of the important properties, that is, we call it as conformability. Conformability is nothing but ability of the bearing material to accommodate sharp deflection and bearing inaccuracies by plastic deformation without excessive wear or heating, because there should be a conformability between the two surface, that is shaft and bearing. If suppose there will be any kind of deflection or bearing inaccuracy, so this bearing material should accommodate. So that is about one of the important property, we call it as conformability. And coming to the next properties, the bearing material should be soft to allow this particle to get embedded. So because many high capacity bearings are made by the bonding on one or more thin layer of bearing material to a high strength steel shell. So therefore, whatever the bondability is important consideration in selecting bearing material. So that's about one more property that is called embeddability. So the ability of the bearing material to accommodate small particle of dust or any impurity, so without scoring the material of the journal. So that is nothing but embeddability, means that the bearing should be soft to allow this particle to get embedded, and bearing material should have a high sufficient corrosion resistance under any condition. So whatever the bearing material selected, that should have sufficient corrosion resistance property. Such material we have to select. Then one more property, that is reasonable cost, easily available in the market. So bearing material should have a reasonable cost and should be easily available in the market. So that is about in terms of cost and availability. Now coming to the bearing materials, most frequently used bearing materials are babbitt, bronze, copper, lead, aluminum alloys. So these are some of the important bearing materials. So there will be a tin based babbitt or lead based babbitt. Similarly, copper, lead, aluminum, silver lead deposited. Many materials are used for bearing. So there will be a characteristics, different properties. Some of the material may have fatigue strength may be high, but some other property may be low. Some of the property may vary from poor to excellent. So there will be different types of material. So one of the important material is babbitt metal, that is called tin based or lead based babbitts, that are widely used bearing material. So because it satisfies most of the requirements for general application. So the recommended pressure for this is around 7 to 14 megapascal. So this is commonly used material. And one more material is bronze. So these are generally used in the form of machine bushers present to shell. Similarly, cast iron, silver, non-metal rings are materials used in the manufacturing of bearing. Next topic is mechanism of lubrication. We have already discussed, that is there will be three important types of lubrication. Lubrication means extent to which contacting surfaces are separated in a sharp bearing combination. So based on that, thick film lubrication, thin film, and boundary lubrication. So these are already we discussed. So now one of the important mechanism of lubrication, that is hydrodynamic channel bearing. So that is the first type of bearing based on lubrication mechanism. So in this mechanism, in this bearing, we have using thick film lubrication. So there will be between the journal and the bearing surface, we provided thick film lubrication. So that is why it is called hydrodynamic journal bearing. Here it is showing hydrodynamic journal bearing, with O is the center of journal and O dash is the center of bearing. You can see here. So there will be always small difference between these two center, and that is small distance, we call it as E, eccentricity. So capital letter D is nothing but diameter of the bearing, and small letter d is the diameter of journal, and L is the length of bearing. So this is the one wave. So L is another wave. So L is nothing but a length of bearing. So there will be some of the important terminology of hydrodynamic journal bearing. So one such terminology is diametral clearance. So diametral clearance is nothing but a difference between the diameter of bearing and journal. So it is nothing but a difference between the diameter of bearing is nothing but capital letter D, and the diameter of journal is nothing but small letter d. So d minus d is nothing but difference between the two diameter is nothing but diametral clearance. And you can see here, so this one is journal and this one is bearing. So journal radius is small letter r, and bearing radius is capital letter R. And one more terminology is radial clearance. So radial clearance is nothing but difference between the radii of the bearing and journal. It's nothing but capital letter R minus small letter r is nothing but radial clearance. Similarly, we have one more terminology, that is diametral clearance ratio. Diametral clearance ratio is nothing but ratio of the diametral clearance to the diameter of the journal. So that is called diametral clearance. Similarly, we have one more terminology, it's nothing but eccentricity. It is the radial distance between center O of the bearing and the displaced center O dash of the bearing under load. So after rotation, whatever the journal and bearing, whatever the center, so that will be different because of fluid film. So when it under subjected to load, so there will be a small displacement, so that is called E or eccentricity. It is denoted by small letter E. Now one more important term, that is minimum oil film thickness. So if it is nothing but minimum distance between the bearing and journal, so under complete lubrication condition. So if here you can see the distance is more here, similarly distance is somewhat less here, but in total journal bearing combination, the smallest distance is here. So that is called minimum oil film thickness. Usually it is denoted as HO or H minimum. And one more important terminology is attitude, or we also call it as eccentricity ratio. It is nothing but ratio of eccentricity to the radial clearance. It's also called attitude. Now different types of bearing we have, that is short bearing as well as long bearing. If the ratio of the length to diameter of the journal is less than 1, then we call it as short bearing. That is nothing but L by small letter d. L is nothing but length and d is nothing but diameter of the bearing. Similarly, if the L by d ratio is greater than 1, then bearing we call it as long bearing. If the length of the journal is equal to diameter of the journal, then we call it as square bearing. So these are some of the important specification or terminology of the hydrodynamic journal bearing. You can see this diagram in your data and book from figure 15.10, that is from page number 357. So notation may be somewhat changes because whatever the load they given may be F. So just you go through your data and book, but the concept remains same. These are some of the assumptions made in the hydrodynamic bearing, lubricated bearing. So this I will read the assumption. The first assumption is lubricant obeys Newton's law of viscosity. It's nothing but it has to follow Newton's law of viscous flow. It's nothing but Newtonian fluid. Then pressure is assumed to be constant throughout the film thickness, because pressure should not be vary, so it should be constant throughout the film thickness. And the third one is lubricant is assumed to be incompressible. fourth one, viscosity is assumed to be constant throughout the film. And fifth one, the flow is one dimensional. There should not be any end leakage. So side leakage or end leakage is neglected. So these are the some of the assumptions in hydrodynamic lubricated bearing. Now coming to the one of the important concept from the exam point of view, that is how bearing works, how the bearing carry the load, that is radial load in case of general bearing. So hydrodynamic lubrication, so it's nothing but you can see here, so there will be three important diagrams. So one is at rest. So at rest means general as well as bearing, there should not be any dynamic effect, it is under completely rest. So then what will happen? So at start, after starting, so what is the effect? So that will discuss now. So at stage 3, as the speed still increases, more oil is drawn in and enough pressure is built up in the contact zone to float the journal. So further increase in speed, additional pressure of the converging oil flow to the right of the minimum thickness portion, that is nothing but H0, moves the shaft slightly to the left center. So as a result, full separation of journal and bearing surface occurs. In stable operating conditions, the pressure distribution on the journal, that is shown in the figure, this is known as hydrodynamic lubrication, or we call it as full film lubrication. So at this equilibrium condition, the pressure force on the journal balances the external force. So that is nothing but this case. You can see at running this figure. After rotation, so there will be a eccentricity between these two. General surface and bearing surface. There will be a eccentricity between the two shafts as a result, and there will be a fluid film. If we continuously rotate this one, so there will be a formation of converging oil film. Because of this, the pressure induced that will be very high. So that will balance whatever the pressure induced in the film. So that will balance the whatever the load. So that is nothing but hydrodynamic lubrication, because small film, so that is created between these two surface. That small film is sufficient to carry the load, because with the help of small fluid film, so whatever the load you can carry. So that is the beauty of this concept, and that is hydrodynamic lubrication. Whatever the bearing works on this principle, we call it as hydrodynamic lubricated bearing. So you can see all this diagram from figure 15.18 and 15.10, that is page number 361 and 357 respectively. So this is the pressure plot you can see here. So there will be a P max at a certain location, so that you can measure with respect to angle where the maximum pressure. So because of oil film, so there will be a pressure development in oil film. So you can see after there will be a converging oil film, so the pressure will be a maximum. You can see here. So this is the pressure distribution in general bearing. So and subjected to the load, that is nothing but radial load. So here one is one of the important topic, that is bearing modulus and coefficient of friction. So coefficient of friction in the design of bearing is always plays important role, because it affects it means for determining the loss of power due to bearing friction. So there is one more factor, that is Zn by P. We call it as bearing characteristics number, and it is a dimensionless number. So the variation of coefficient of friction with the operating values of bearing characteristic number is nothing but Zn by P. So we have investigated by Mackey equation. So it's one of the scientists. According to his investigation, so we got this plot. In y-axis we have coefficient of friction. In x-axis we have Zn divided by P. It's nothing but bearing characteristics number. Here whatever the PQ line so indicates region of thick film lubrication, and between Q and R the viscosity or speed are so less. You can see here the value of pressure and speed and viscosity, the pressure is more in this case, so it will reduce the film thickness, so that partial metal to metal contact, such region we call it as a partial lubrication. And the thin film lubrication, you can see here the region from S to R, that is nothing but curve, the film thin film or boundary lubrication, so that is here, so that is nothing but Mackey investigation. So this region where the viscosity of the lubricant ceases to be measure of friction characteristic, one of the important factor. From this investigation, it can be noted that the part PQ of the curve represent stable operating condition, since from any point of stability a decrease in viscosity, that is nothing but denoted by Z, so will reduce the value of Zn by P. So this will result in a decrease in coefficient of friction, followed by a lowering of bearing temperature, so that will increase the viscosity of fluid. So that is one of the important criteria here, one of the important investigation. So along with the, you can see here at the point A, the whatever the coefficient of friction, so that is minimum at this point. The value of Zn by P, we call it as bearing modulus, which is denoted by K. So this is denoted by capital letter K. The bearing should not operate at this value of bearing modulus, because a slight decrease in speed or slight increase in pressure will break the oil film and make the journal to operate with the metal to metal contact. Such condition should not happen. So this will result in high friction and wear, as well as whatever the heat generated will be very high. So in order to prevent this one, according to Mackey investigation, the bearing should be designed value of Zn by P at least 3 times minimum value of bearing modulus, that is K. So that is one of the important design criteria. So whatever the bearing should be designed, the value of Zn by P at least 3 times more than K value. So that is one of the important investigation. It's also called Mackey investigation, or we call it as bearing modulus. This is about today class. In next class we'll discuss about one of the important derivation with respect to general bearing. So that is called Petrov equation, and after that we'll discuss some of the important concept, that is heat generated and heat dissipation in general bearing, along with the minimum oil film thickness. We already uh, discussed what you mean by minimum oil film thickness. So this is about sliding contact bearing. So after this we'll move towards rolling contact bearing. Thank you.